Chapter 5. Finally. The last day of school should be the best day of the year, but it's a disaster. Ms. Williams can't get the DVD player to work, so she points to everything in the room and makes us spell it like we're back in kindergarten. When she points to a photo of Mr. Dimitri, I spell THEWRSTPRINCIPALWEVERHAD, the worst principal we have ever had, instead. I thought I did a great job with all that spelling, but Ms. Williams is not amused and makes me write out the multiplication tables for punishment. No one appreciates a good joke anymore, that's the problem. When I get to my locker, Joe Brennan is waiting for me. Joe used to be one of the smallest kids in our school, but he had a growth spurt last fall and now he's the biggest. Joe isn't smart enough to use his new size to shake down kids for lunch money. Instead, his favorite trick is getting in your face with his junk food breath and making you listen to his lame, made-up stories. Trust me, losing your cash is 100 times better than his fantasy tales about talking gerbils and magic turtles. I lean against my locker to escape his foul breath from the orange crumbs nesting between his teeth. I assume he's been eating Cheetos. "Hey, Derek," he says. "Are you around this summer? I'm working on a great story about a cat with wings who's afraid of heights." "Sounds interesting." I tell him another lie, that I'll be in skateboard camp in Venice Beach and won't be around. He doesn't buy it. "You'll be hanging around the neighborhood with that stupid old mutt retriever of yours, same as every summer." My dog might be old and a mutt, but he's not stupid. I can feel the handle of the locker pressing into my back as I lean away from the orangey crumbs shooting out of Joe's mouth. When I burp in his face, Joe finally lets go of my... When I burp in his face, Joe finally lets go of my t-shirt. I hurry back to the classroom and run smack into Ms. Williams. She places a book in my hand. "Consider this an end-of-school present. It's one of the books from our reading list." "Since it's not a library book or classroom book," she continues, "you can write in it. I made you some notes in the margin. I hope you find them helpful." "You're giving me a used book?" She ignores me. "And don't forget to keep drawing your vocabulary words." Ms. Williams obviously doesn't realize I'm trying to escape because she continues to block the door. We move side to side in the doorway like two old people dancing. As if on cue, Carly appears beside me. She smiles sweetly to Ms. Williams, then shoots me the evil eye to stop blocking the entrance to her precious classroom. I move out of the way and thank Ms. Williams for the book. When Carly realizes the teacher gave me a present and not her, she lets out a pathetic noise that sounds as if she's been punched in the gut. "Carly, are you ready to take Ginger home?" Ms. Williams asked. Carly volunteered, of course, to watch the class hedgehog for the summer. She stands near Ginger's crate like a Secret Service agent, guarding the president. Maybe she'll fall asleep with Ginger on her lap this summer and wake up with marks on her legs from Ginger's quills. When the bell rings at the end of the day, most of the girls hug each other goodbye at the lockers, milking every last second of school time until next September. I vault over the hedge near the school entrance and skid to a halt in front of the crossing guard. When she tells me to have a nice summer, I shout back that I intend to. At home, I throw my backpack onto the porch and let out Bodie. I think about grabbing his leash, but decide against it. We're finally free. Chapter 6. Making Fruit Grenades. Matt and I get my markers and draw grids on the avocados piled on the kitchen counter. When we finish, we take them outside and stack them like cannonballs. Then we borrow 3 bags of potting soil from the garage, empty them into the middle of the driveway, and build 2 large mounds. We take our places behind the opposite hills. If we were still in school, we'd be in social studies right now. He pelts me with one of the avocados, which lands in green chunks on my sneaker. I hurl an avocado back, but miss. Even worse than social studies, we'd be in an assembly watching Mr. Dimitri sing stupid folk songs and play his guitar. I'm not sure if it's our explosion noises that bring my mother out of the house, but when I look up, she's standing on the porch watching us bomb each other. They're hand grenades, I inform her. I got it. She looks at me with that face that tells me I've messed up once again. I was going to use those avocados for dinner. I point to the green mush all over the driveway and our clothes. They're still edible. Why don't you bring out a bag of chips? She closes the door without answering, and I know we won't be seeing chips anytime soon. Besides, Bodhi has already eaten the biggest chunks of avocado off the driveway. The next person to appear on the porch is my father. One of the good things about having a father who works from home is that he's always around. Unfortunately, that's one of the bad things too. He places a box of large garbage bags on the stairs. I assume you two are planning on putting all the potting soil back, right? Right, Matt and I both pretend to agree. Dad takes a $10 bill out of his wallet and places it under the box. Then you can walk to the store and replace those avocados. My father keeps talking, but Matt and I are only focused on the crisp $10 bill calling our names. I'm thinking 7, maybe 8 king-size candy bars. I bet Matt is thinking the same thing. When my father finally goes inside, Matt and I dive for the money. He gets to it before I do. Giant bag of popcorn, a tub of ice cream, or a box of cupcakes with sprinkles. He snaps the bill at me like it's a towel in gym class. Matt and I skateboard to the grocery store, and I ask the man in the produce department if there are any avocados for sale. He brings out several from the back room that are much cheaper than the ones in the bins. Matt and I have enough money left over to get a quart of chocolate fudge ice cream. We take utensils and napkins from the salad bar, then sit on our skateboards out back to eat. Guess where my mom decided we're going on vacation this summer? Matt asks. I shrug and dig at the vein of fudge buried along the side of the carton. Martha's Vineyard. Isn't that where the girl in that newspaper article drowned? I suddenly feel envious of Matt's vacation plans. Not because his family's going away, and we're not, but because he is one step closer to having a real adventure than I am. Why don't you ask your mom if you can take me? I took you to San Francisco last year, remember? Since I'm an only child, my parents often let me take friends on vacation. Sometimes I take Matt, and sometimes I just take Bodhi. Matt tries to get at the fudge by fencing his spoon with mine. I finally move my spoon out of the way to make room for his. I'll ask my mom if you can come, but it's 3,000 miles to the vineyard. I'm not sure what she's going to say. I whisper a prayer from inside my head straight to Matt's mom. Say yes, I'll be good. Say yes, I'll be good. When we finally get home, my mother tests the avocados in her hand and tells me they're overripe and will be brown inside. She sweeps them off the counter into the trash, then wipes off my chocolate mustache with the dish towel. She uses a little too much force, but I don't complain. We have takeout Chinese food for dinner, and I don't complain about that either. I take a thumbtack and fasten the slip from my fortune cookie onto the bulletin board in my room. A story will unfold before you, it says. I bury myself underneath the covers and hope it will be true. If only I could get the guys at the Fortune Cookie Factory to do my summer book report too. I focus on my new plan, to talk Matt's mom into letting me accompany them on vacation. Chapter 7, Poor Dad. Even though it's summer vacation, I don't mind going to work with my dad. He's an artist who draws storyboards for films, and today he's working with the director shooting a horror movie. It's great to spend the day on a movie set scattered with fake body parts and chainsaws. While my father meets with the director about how he wants the storyboard to look, I bug the prop man to give me his recipe for fake blood. The guy laughs but won't let me in on his secret. When Dad and I eat lunch in the studio cafeteria, I check out his sketches. They're the kind of basic drawings I make for my vocabulary words, but with much better backgrounds and from different angles. I laugh when I see an actress with pretend blood on her arms eating a salad at the next table. But Dad doesn't pay attention to her. He's looking at the man she's with, a young guy with with cool glasses and a goatee. Dad looks down at his drawings and suddenly seems sad. I ask him what's the matter. They get younger and younger all the time. The actors? He shakes his head. The artists. They come out of the school now with all this animation experience. It's tough to compete. He tucks his sketches under his jacket on the chair beside him. I know the conversation is going to come back around to me. When you're an only child, it always does. That's why it's important for you to keep up with your schoolwork. It's a tough job market out there. I want to remind him that I'm only 12, but he seems depressed, so I don't bother. When we head back home, I don't ask him to stop at the comic book store in case that will make him feel even worse. Later, when Dad falls asleep on the couch watching the news, I get an idea. I take one of the markers from his work table and start to make him a little younger looking. My father sleeps as heavily as a giant woolly mammoth and doesn't wake up until my mother walks into the room and screams, "Derek, what are you doing?" "Just practicing my artistic skills." She starts to laugh when she sees my father's face, but then her eyes widen. I follow her gaze to my hand and realize I'm holding a permanent marker. My father rises and catches his reflection in the living room mirror. "Derek Martin Jeremy Fallon, you have gone too far," my mom says. "I thought I'd help Dad keep up with the young guys, that's all." My father looks at the long, wide sideburns and half a mustache. It's actually not that bad. "Jeremy," my mother yells, "don't encourage him." She runs into the kitchen and comes back with a dish towel, but my father's new facial hair isn't going anywhere soon. She rubs his mouth with so much force, I wonder if he's going to need dentures when she's through with him. As I march up to my room, I make a mental list of all the cool stuff I could do with a set of fake teeth. The next morning, when my father comes downstairs, I try to hide my laughter. He's still got some of the sideburns I drew on him, and he's wearing a black t-shirt that's too small. He combed his hair with my mother's gel so it's sticking up in a million directions. As funny as my dad looks, his attempt at being cool makes me sad. Now it's my turn to give advice. "You shouldn't worry about all those young guys getting all the jobs," I say. "You're a good illustrator. You just have to do what you told me. Keep at it." He looks at me like I'm actually saying something that makes sense instead of just regurgitating the same old stuff he always tells me. "You're exactly right. We'll both dedicate ourselves to our studies this summer." And just like that, I realized that by trying to help my dad, I've committed myself to even more work. You know that saying, nice guys finish last? It's 100% true.